Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, there are a few things that I want to share with you. So just to give you an outline, I want to talk about something that I experienced recently. And then I want to show you this month's Beauty Heroes discovery because it's been a while since I have done any Beauty Heroes reviews. And then for the last one, I wanted to answer a question that one of you guys left me in the comment section last week. All right, why don't we start with the first thing, which is a pretty huge one. And you know, I was thinking about how I was going to talk about this. And I didn't really have any hesitation leading up to it, but now that I'm sitting here, it is kind of strange for me to put this out on YouTube. If you receive if you've signed up for my weekly newsletters, those are the gratitude newsletters I send out every Fridays, and I share 5 things that I discovered or enjoyed that week. 2 weeks ago, I shared one thing actually, and it was that I tested positive on a pregnancy test for the first time in my life, which is crazy. Brandon and I have been married for almost 5 years. Actually, it's our anniversary very soon. We're gonna hit our 5-year anniversary. And starting 4 years ago, we decided that we wanted to start trying for a family, for kids. And tried for a while. And the summer before we left Korea, we were actually going to a really well-known fertility hospital in Korea. And so we both got tested. They said nothing was wrong with either of us. Yeah, it just wasn't happening. And I had a pretty tough time with it in the beginning especially. But I think maybe starting in 2017 is when I really became okay with it, because I knew that it was allowing us the opportunity to, you know, pack up and move to Hawaii. I don't know that we would have done that if I had a kid. And so my priorities, my wants kind of shifted there, and I was okay with it. Yeah, just, I don't know where to start with this. Okay, so February, let's start there. February. So 2 months ago now, I went to hang out with my friend Celine at the beach. And Celine, she's so incredible. Just such a beautiful person inside and out. She has 2 beautiful daughters, and she also teaches yoga on the side. So what I love is that she teaches yoga for CrossFit athletes. And you know, as graceful and as beautiful as she looks doing yoga, like she also teaches like very functional yoga that's supposed to support those of us that do like weightlift as well, right? And so Celine and I, we met up, got some smoothies, and we went to the beach, and we were sitting there and talking. And also Celine teaches prenatal yoga. So what Celine shared was how much of an impact yoga had on her when, like how it got her ready for motherhood, not just the birthing process, but everything afterwards as well. And she felt so connected to it, and she wanted to share that and teach that with other women. And so as I was picking her brain about the type of prenatal yoga she teaches, she made a joke saying like, hey, you know, you should come to one of my classes. I know that you want to be pregnant eventually, and yeah, just come. Like, it's okay if you're not pregnant, like maybe. And I made a joke about like, you know, being surrounded by pregnant women and rubbing elbows with them, and yeah, just being in that environment. And I was totally open for it. And Celine was telling me how prenatal yoga is so different from the CrossFit yoga that she teaches, obviously. I didn't think anything of it, and she invited me to one of her classes, so I decided to go. But that day that we hung out at the beach, she made a joke saying like, and I've heard this a lot too, right? From people like on the island, about how the Hawaiian Islands either draw you in or they push you away. And I've always felt like, from the first time being in Hawaii, I felt a drawing in, a pull for me to be here. And yeah, Celine brought that up. We were kind of talking about that, and I was telling her some of the cool things that have happened to me since being here. And you know, she was like, you know, maybe this is the place where you're gonna get pregnant, and you know, said this and that. And that day that we hung out, she was like, go home, make love to Brandon. She's French, so she just like talks. I just love the way that she talks. But she was like, go home, make love to Brandon, and you know, come to my yoga class. And she said all these things, and I was like, okay. And a month later, in March, I was in LA, and I remember going through what felt like a regular period, like in terms of the symptoms, the length of time. Like I didn't find anything abnormal about what was going on. And yeah, I had my period while I was there, had menstrual cramps like I normally do, and didn't think anything of it. We came back to Hawaii, and you know, my period had ended. It lasted the same number of days it always does, and then I started bleeding again, which I thought was so strange. I know that my cycle has been irregular most of my life. It like pretty much became as regular as can be without birth control since we moved to Hawaii. But I just thought it was so strange. And then the bleeding continued for like another 5 days. And at that point, of course, like I'm, you know, consulting my doctor, which is Google, and all the, you know, worst case scenarios that I'm reading about. And one of the things that I took the least seriously was all the suggestions like, hey, if you're bleeding after your period, take a pregnancy test. And I was like, no way. One night last month, Brandon was out playing volleyball, and I texted him and I was like, hey, can you bring home a pregnancy test? He hadn't seen that text, and he'd already parked and he got home. So he was like, oh, I'll get it for you tomorrow. So he comes home with a generic pregnancy test, and he's sitting in the living room, and I go into the bathroom and I kind of just oh, he brought home White Claws, which are the hard seltzer. It's like my new obsession. It's basically like a spiked LaCroix, right? It's so good. So he brought home a 6-pack of that, and he brought home a pregnancy test. So he comes in the door. I like open a can of the alcohol, and I like sit it down on my coaster, and I was like, oh, I'll just go pee real quick and I'll come out and I'll drink this. Because there's no way, right? Anyway, I go into the bathroom and I pee on it, and I set it down, like, and I just look away immediately because, you know, I'm not pregnant. All of a sudden, yeah, at first, like, that second line didn't show up. And, you know, I know what that feels like. All the other pregnancy tests I've ever taken look like that. And then I swear, within a matter of seconds, that second line just like, bam, showed up. And I immediately just started crying. And the first thought that popped up into my head was, oh, fuck, I've been bleeding. Like, there's no way that this is good, you know? And I think I just went immediately into like fear mode, because I was like recalling the past month. And I come outside and I'm like trying to explain to Brandon, I think we have some footage.
So what's going on right now?
So maybe I tested positive on this pee stick because you bought a $7 generic test.
Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh.
Congrats on the positive test, babe. Okay.
God, and I made a joke yesterday about whatever's inside me is probably dead because I just keep bleeding.
Okay, I'm gonna make that appointment now.
Can you?
Yeah.
Man, I was so bummed. I know this isn't something that I can plan, obviously, in some sense. And I didn't imagine that the day that I would tell him that I had a positive pregnancy test would play out like that. I didn't think it would come out like covered in so much fear, you know? So I was pretty disappointed in that. And then again, I was disappointed because I couldn't drink my White Claw. I was really looking forward to that White Claw. And I was like, no, I can't drink it. Started freaking out and, you know, did some more Googling, and it suggested that I go to the hospital. And so we did. We went to the hospital, and it was pretty late. So there was no OBGYN on staff and no one to do ultrasounds that day to figure out what was going on with me. So they actually sent me to the ER, and we were there for like 6 hours. We were finally seen by the doctor, I think, close to midnight. It was not fun. They were telling me that my numbers were still too low, but they did confirm my pregnancy, and that my HCG levels were low, and basically if they continued to double every day, then then my pregnancy was progressing. So I'm like learning all these things for the first time. Basically, they send me home and I was told to make another appointment. I did. Fast forward, they couldn't explain like why I was bleeding but still pregnant. And even when we looked inside, there was a gestational sac there. It was in the right place, and so we eliminated any fears of like it being a pregnancy that's not in the uterus, because ectopic pregnancies, they can happen in the tubes and stuff. Again, like all these like things that I'm learning for the first time, try not to freak myself out. Yeah, since then it has just been a waiting game for me. I faced a very long weekend, so like, one, I have no idea what's really going on. Two, like I can't even just take the edge off and like enjoy a glass of wine because I'm pregnant. 4 days ago, the doctor called and confirmed that I had miscarried. She said my HCG levels had significantly dropped, so that meant pregnancy is over. And at that point, I was just relieved to have an answer. And it's funny because Brandon and my friend Andre, we were joking about how the day that I find out more, regardless of the outcome, we're going to celebrate it, because we're going to call it a celebration of information. Like we're going to celebrate knowing what's going on. I heard that. Of course, there was a part of me that was disappointed, but there was a part that was also relieved that, I don't know, I just had this fear that if this kept going, the signs just were not looking good, because I was losing a lot of blood. When I first found out, I wasn't by myself. I was actually attending one of Celine's other yoga classes, and she was with me afterwards, and I told her. And I think I was okay while I was with her, but it was like during the drive home that it like really hit me. And since then, I've been just kind of teetering back and forth between being so grateful that I was able to get pregnant naturally, and then the other part, being disappointed, right? And I think it's natural to feel that, this could happen again in the future. I thought Brandon seemed pretty okay. And then he was telling me that, because for him too, it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, it's so cool that we were able to get pregnant naturally. So like even him from the beginning was really thrilled, no matter the outcome. It wasn't until later when he told me that our coach at the gym was asking how I was doing. And yeah, it was a day that I found out, and Brandon told our coach, it's like, yeah, Jenn had a miscarriage. Brandon was telling me how that day he kind of like heard like a tremble in his voice, and he felt that loss that he hadn't really felt before. It was that confirmation, and I guess it was just, letting go of what could have been, right? So yeah, that was Thursday. I was scheduled for a surgical procedure on Friday to, just clean out any remaining pregnancy tissue in my uterus. The doctor was saying that there's a chance of infection if my body doesn't dispose of all of it. And for me, I heard infection. I'm like, nope, let's get that taken care of. And also because I've pretty much been bleeding all month long. I just wanted to stop bleeding. We went to the surgical center on Friday. I had the procedure. The staff there was unbelievable. From the beginning, like from the first nurse that took me in, she just took such good care of me. She was so gentle, and like every other nurse and doctor that I encountered would come over and like place their hand on my foot at the edge of the bed, or like come and hold my hand for a second and just, kept checking in to make sure I was okay. They wanted me to know exactly who was on my team that day, and it was incredible. And I found out one of my friends works there. That was totally unexpected. So we saw him while we were in the waiting room. So that was really, really awesome. I think the procedure was quite quick. And then I think I was coming out of the anesthesia, and I think they let me sleep for like an hour there, and then we went home. And yeah, Friday was just, I was just drugged up. And I came home and I tried to take a nap, but oh man, like my body felt exhausted. I was sleepy, but I couldn't go to sleep. Really hurt too when I was peeing originally on Friday. But yeah, I woke up on Saturday and I just felt like 100% me again, and I'm so grateful for that. No bleeding, no pain. I've been doing good, and I've been really thankful about all the people that have been checking in with me and making sure that I'm okay. It's been a long month. March was a long month. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about it, and yeah, initially in the beginning I didn't want to share it on YouTube, but I felt comfortable to share it with those of you that are on my email list. I don't know, like that, you guys, that group of people, it's so sacred to me. I feel like if you've trusted me enough to give me your email address and you're regularly hearing from me, like, and you know, the big thing for me too was to remove the shame or the taboo-ness of like talking about this subject. I know that this is very common for women, and I'm lucky to personally know like a small handful that have shared about their struggles while they were going through with it. But I feel like more often than not, like I see and hear more stories of women talking about miscarriages they've had, but now they have a healthy baby. And me, I don't have that, the healthy baby to show you that, you know, but look what's on the other side. And I just always have wanted to connect or hear more about what it's like to be in the trenches of it, you know, while it's happening. And so I feel like I've gathered so much strength, especially from my best friend. She's been so strong. She miscarried twice before she had her son, who's so cute and healthy. And, you know, she gave me full permission to share her story because she's like, hey, that's God's story for me. And I've just always admired her faith in that, right? And I knew that that's what I wanted to do as well. Whatever my story was, I wanted to be able to share it, even if it doesn't end with, you know, a healthy baby on my first pregnancy. So there's that. I'm just gonna add a little bit of cheek color, and then before this video gets super long, I want to show you this month's Beauty Heroes. So this month's Beauty Heroes discovery is by the brand de Mamiel. There we go. Where are they based out of? I want to say the UK. I'm not 100% sure. So the packaging says handmade in England. Okay, so let me show you the hero product. It's this right here. It's called the Brightening Cleanse and Exfoliate, and it's this powdered formula. So this thing is 2.47 ounces, and this is a powdered exfoliator. So I can show you. I don't want to waste too much product because this stuff is precious, but yeah, what you're supposed to do is into a wet palm you pour out about a teaspoon of this, and then you take a few drops of water and then you mix it in, and then it turns into, I think it says it turns into a mousse, but to me it's more like a very thin paste. And I've used more than a teaspoon as well, just to see if I can thicken it up a little bit, and in my experience not so much. But basically it's that paste, and then onto a dry face I would just slather it on, and then just gently start massaging my face in circular motions. And this is a very gentle exfoliator that I use as a cleanser, and oh my gosh, it smells so good. It smells like hot chocolate. Let's see, it says use this daily or twice a week for sensitive skin, focusing on areas of congestion or dryness. So I haven't used this every day. I already manually exfoliate when I take off my makeup in the evening with a warm wet washcloth, and so I've used this once a week for 3 weeks now. And what I can tell you is that immediately when I take it off, my skin feels really soft, and I like that it's such a gentle exfoliation. It's like almost barely there, but like a good amount for someone with sensitive skin. So what's in here, it's in the powder, it's clay. I think it's white clay and colloidal oats. Is that what it's called? Look, it comes with this little booklet. It's so cute, and it explains all the different products in their line. Okay, so it's got vitamin C, gemstone powders, ginseng, elderflower, and antioxidant-rich cacao powders. Oh yeah, colloidal oats, marshmallow, go-to cola. I hope I said that right. And yeah, there's montmorillonite, white clay. I'll link it below if you want to go read about it. But oh, it says like it's got notes of vanilla, marshmallow, rose, and sandalwood, and it's just, I can just lick my hand right now. And as lovely as this product is, my hero product is actually the sidekick. And this is called the Skin Recovery Blend. And it is a pressed serum. So how big is this size? So this is a 6 milliliter deluxe size sample, which is valued at $35. But if you bought the full size, it's 30 mil and it's $160. Okay, so this one is $70, by the way, for the full size. Okay, here's what this looks like. And I really haven't made that much of a dent. I've used this more than I have that, but you really don't need a lot. And I can't believe I'm sticking my fingers in here, but I'm gonna do it. You really don't need a lot. And as soon as you put it into your fingers and you start rubbing it together, it just dissolves and it feels like, you know, a melted balm. And when I first tried this, my first impression was that it reminded me so much of Josh Rosebrook's Advanced Hydration Mask. Yeah, even the smells, it smells so similar. What's in here? We've got Cape Chamomile, Blue Cypress, Yarrow, German Chamomile, and Blue Tansy. So it's supposed to help your skin look plump, minimizing appearance of fine lines, and it's supposed to calm, I think, acne-prone skin. Yes. I would say the Josh Rosebrook Hydration Mask, it feels a little bit more gritty, and even it takes a little bit more of it being massaged into the skin, I feel like, to not be kind of chunky. Whereas this, it's like as soon as you start melting it into your fingertips, like it's so nice. I would just press it in. It smells so heavenly, and my skin looks so like youthful in the morning. And I will use this still under a moisturizer. I don't ever use just this because my skin needs that. Man, this little thing, I can see it really lasting a while for me. I was so happy when I found out that it was Mamiel this month, because for a while, I mean, I just, you know, became so comfortable with my current skincare routine, and it's been doing okay for me, so I wasn't really feeling that experimental, and there were still so many things in my collection that I wanted to use up. But when I found out it was Mamiel this month, like, I knew I wanted to try it, because last year I tried something else from their line. It was the restorative cleansing balm, and I really liked that. Like, my skin felt so hydrated and clean, and it removed my makeup really nicely. So I wanted to try some of the other things from their line. So yeah, I opted for this. I really enjoy it so far. I know it's still pretty early, but yeah, if you want to check it out, I'll have links down in the description for you. I do want to show you what my skin looks like up close, because it's been doing so well, and I swear a big part of it is me spending like extra time and care on my cleansing, like I've learned from Nara to Joy. And yeah, it's been drastically better. I still have, you know, some hyperpigmentation marks, and you know, I do tend to break out on my jawline, but just overall the texture of my skin has significantly improved. So yeah, this has been a nice little addition to my skincare. I think the last thing I'm gonna do is I kind of want to put on some eyeshadow, because I'm still experimenting with this. If you guys watched my makeup declutter video, I was giving myself 30 days before I made a decision to whether I'm going to hold on to it or toss it, because I just don't really reach for it very much. So I'm going to do that. And before I do, I wanted to answer a question that I got in the comments last week that I really liked. Okay, so the question is, how do you meet and make such amazing friends? You and Brandon are clearly amazing. Thank you. So it makes sense your friends are as well. I'm entering a new season, new people, new places, and want to make real friends where it's like family, you know? Yeah. I love friends that just drop by or drop gifts off at your door. I'm that type of person, and I want to bring those people into my life. I'm 22 and I feel pretty inexperienced at making friends. Thank you. Kaitlin, I think that's a great question. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge what you said. We do have some amazing friends. Like, when I first read your question, I started thinking about all the friends that I wanted to talk about, and talk about each of them and why they're so amazing. And then I was afraid that I was going to leave someone out. So I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, we have been incredibly blessed with people in our lives that have been there for us through thick and thin. And to your point too, I think it's definitely a give and take relationship, right? Like, it's really selfish and unfair to expect people to treat you one way if you're not willing to care for them in the same, right? And so I don't want you to think of it as such a tit for tat. I didn't mean it like that, if that's what it sounded like. But I think as a general rule, the most important thing is to be that kind of friend first to the people you want in your life. So I wouldn't put so much focus on wanting the types of friends that would just drop by or drop by gifts and stuff. But if that's how you like to be loved, and if that's how you like to express love, you should totally do that with the people that are important to you. And as I really believe that what you do and what you put out, like, that's the same kind of energy often that comes back to you. Is energy the right word? I guess partly. But yeah, I mean, I don't ever do something because I want the same thing back, but I really just try my best to love people the way that I know how. And for me, I'm not a big gifter. I'm more like, if I see something and it's very specific and it reminds me of someone, like, I would love to pick it up and gift it. But when it comes to like anniversaries or birthdays or celebrations, like, I'm not, like, gift giving is not my love language. And I'm always so touched when people do that for me. I feel like I get a lot of gifts. So maybe like the people that love on me, one of their love languages is gift giving. So you know, with the whole love language thing, it's like we often give love the way that we like to receive it. So like, just go out there and just love on people the way that you want without expecting anything in return. And I think another thing, it's not really a secret or anything, but I guess I'm trying to think about not only how my friends are to me, but how I am with them. That maybe kind of helps this dynamic that you see with me and my friends. Is, I don't know where I learned this or how long I've been this way. I just feel like this is how I've been for as long as I can remember. But I've always been kind of embarrassingly, unabashedly expressive of things that I appreciate about other people. And I'm sure not everyone likes that. Like, I have to say, like, when I do show my appreciation, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I wonder if like this person thinks I'm being over the top, or yeah, you know, that's just my own insecurity of like, how am I coming off to this person? But in most cases with my relationships, I found that people really love to feel appreciated, and I love letting people know that. And so that's something that's kind of, I don't want to say routine, but you know, it's just very normal for me. And I think in return, I get to be on the receiving end of appreciation from them. You know, it's just like a cycle, I think. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is to go out, meet people, be who you are. You know how they say just be yourself? I mean, yes, be yourself, but kind of gauge the people you're interacting with. Don't just give your heart away to everyone. You know, saying what you mean, and just extending yourself to see what it is that you can do for the other person without thinking of what they can do for you. And I feel like there's a quote, of course there's a quote. It's like, I don't actually remember the quote exactly, but it has something to do with be the friend you want, or you got to be that friend first. It's funny, like now that I'm sitting and like trying to process how to talk about this, it's like really hard to put words to it, because it's just, yeah, I'm trying to now analyze like my natural mode of operation. And I don't like do this intentionally. Like, I don't meet my friends and have like a checklist of things that I do. But I would say the other big one, and I'm just kind of listing them off as they're coming to me, is one thing that Brandon has always been so supportive about, and I've always appreciated this about him, is that when it comes to our friends or the people in our lives, like, there are very few limits, I think. And what I mean by that is, if there is a family we're close to, we love, you know, even if it's not a family, but just, you know, a lot of our friends are married and have kids and stuff. But yeah, whenever I want to do something for someone, he has always been such a big cheerleader for me to do so. So for whatever reason, if I'm like, hey, I wanna gift this, or I wanna treat them to this, or I wanna do this, like, he's never said no to me. In fact, he's just always been like, okay, what else can we do? Like, what do they need? Let's do it. Or, you know, any opportunity that comes where we can serve someone in their time of need, or, you know, just to show them a good time or whatever it is, like, he is such a big cheerleader for it. And that has actually helped me be more of who I am, and he's really encouraged me to be more generous too. And he was like that way with me when we were dating. And so I think it's just been this like virtuous cycle. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be, but yeah, I guess if I had to summarize it, I would say, like, for me personally, I would encourage you to go first, right? Like, be that friend first. See where you can help and be of service to other people. Do it without any expectations. Just love them as genuinely as you can, and not because you want the same exact thing in return. You know, there's also like a level of openness and a willingness to put yourself out there to make those friendships. So for me too, it's, you know, when I'm meeting people, it's not that I immediately feel drawn to every single person that I meet. In fact, it's a lot more rare for me, and I think it's just a part of my temperament. Like, apparently I score extremely high in extroversion, so I do get energized from other people, which I found so strange because I thought I was an introvert. But it's actually my neuroticism, which is my sensitivity to negative emotions, that plays a huge factor on my extroversion. And so even when I go out and I'm meeting people, I tend to kind of, yes, I'm open and I can be talkative and stuff, but it's still very rare for me to find those true connections. And when I feel it, like just intuitively, I kind of tend to like keep digging at it a little bit. And I don't really ever shy away from, if I really like someone, like asking them to hang out one-on-one, because that's like a sweet spot for me, is getting to know someone on a more intimate level like that. And so I would say that first step, and, you know, just being there with that person, with that friend, and really listening. I think it's hard to come across people that like really listen to you and like take actual interest without trying to like one up you, or I don't know, I guess just ask questions out of politeness, but they're not really there to hear what you have to say. So whenever I detect that as well, like for me, that's kindred spirit status, you know, and those are the friendships that I really love to nurture. So I would say invest in those kind of relationships. Love the way you know best. Yeah. I really hope that was helpful. I just never know until, you know, I rewatch this video to see if I was being super repetitive, or or it's like, here's what I said, now take a little net and just like fish out the nuggets, because it's just a lot of, you know, my stream of consciousness, if you will. Okay, so I think this is the look for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to me share about my life and some new beauty products and tips on making amazing friends. And yeah, just thanks for listening and being here and asking great questions and giving me like something really meaty to, you know, marinate and chew on. So thank you for that. Let me know if there's anything else you guys would like me to discuss. Next week though, I don't think that I will be filming a morning chat. I'm gonna actually upload a different type of video that I haven't decided on yet. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to discuss in a future morning chat, feel free to leave them down below. And yeah, check the description box for any products that you might be interested in, whether they're the stuff that went on my face or the Beauty Heroes Discovery that I shared with you today. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.